I'm Nicole, 35 years old, and I never thought my sister-in-law would dare to humiliate me so openly at our family party in Burlington, Vermont. For the past 2 years, she'd been living under my roof claiming she was broke after her divorce, while slipping in sly digs about my working-class background and even our adopted daughter, Ashley. That day at Waterfront Park with everyone watching, she pulled a move so deliberate, so calculated, that the entire crowd seemed to freeze for a moment. I could see the satisfaction flicker in her eyes, like she'd been waiting for this for a long time, and in that instant I knew she'd crossed the line for the very last time. Before I share the rest of my story, I'd love to know what time is it where you are and which city are you listening from. It makes me happy to see just how far my story can travel. I saw Ashley's face crumple at the sting of it. I met her eyes smiled and calmly told my sister-in-law she had exactly 24 hours to pack her things. The free ride was over, and from that moment, a chain of events she never saw coming began to unfold. My husband David and I have been married for 15 years. We met in college at the University of Vermont, where we both studied in Burlington. He was majoring in engineering, always buried in his blueprints and circuits, while I was pursuing marketing, dreaming of creative campaigns that could make a difference. We fell in love fast. Those late-night study sessions turned into dates at local diners, sharing fries and talking about our futures. David is 37 now, a full-time software engineer at a tech firm in town. He works long hours debugging code and leading team projects, but he's the steady type, always making time for family despite the demands. Our daughter Ashley is 13, a thoughtful girl who spends hours lost in her notebooks, writing stories that surprise me with their depth. She's got this quiet creativity that shines in her school essays and poetry contests. Her teachers rave about her imagination, and it makes me proud every time I see her curled up with a pen in hand. Ashley's sensitivity comes from taking things to heart, but she has this inner resilience that reminds me of myself at her age. We adopted her as a baby after years of trying to conceive naturally. The fertility struggles were tough doctors, appointments, tests, the emotional roller coaster, but the day we brought her home was the happiest of our lives. She's our daughter in every way, and we've never treated her any differently. We live in a modest 2-story home in the suburbs of Burlington, Vermont. It's not fancy, but it's comfortable with 3 bedrooms, a small backyard for summer barbecues, and a home office in the basement where I do my freelance work. The cost of living here is high, like most places in New England, with property taxes and utilities eating into our budget, but we've made it work. I handle marketing projects remotely for small businesses, setting my own schedule so I can be there when Ashley gets home from school. It's flexible, but it means juggling deadlines and client calls while keeping the house running. David's job provides the stability with his salary covering most bills, though we're careful with spending no luxury vacations or extravagant gadgets without planning. David grew up with a brother, Mark, who's older and lives in a nicer part of town, with his wife Diane and their daughter Brittany. Mark is successful in corporate sales, and Diane works in finance. They have that polished life, with Brittany attending a top private school and excelling in sports and academics. Brittany is 13 too, the kind of kid who's always winning awards and posting perfect moments on social media. They've got the big house, the European trips, and all the latest tech. I never resented their success. It's just how things turned out. But sometimes the differences in our backgrounds stand out. David's family comes from a more established line. His parents were professionals with connections and expectations. My family was working-class dad, a mechanic, mom, a nurse, and I worked my way through college with part-time jobs. It's never been an issue with David, but I sense it simmering in the family dynamic, like an unspoken judgment on how we live. As our life settled into this rhythm, things were good. We had our routines, family dinners with Ashley sharing her school stories, weekends hiking in the Green Mountains, and occasional visits from Mark's side. But that stability was about to change when David's sister called one night desperate after her divorce. The plea for help came suddenly, and though I had reservations, family is family, or so I thought. Little did I know her arrival would bring tensions I couldn't ignore, starting with those small favors that hinted at deeper favoritism. 2 years ago, my sister-in-law Angela Wilson moved into our Burlington home after her messy divorce. She was 33, freshly single, and claimed she was drowning in legal fees with nowhere to go. David. My husband didn't hesitate. He's always been the type to help family, no questions asked. "She's my little sister Nicole," he said one evening, his voice soft but firm. "We can't leave her out in the cold." I nodded, swallowing my doubts. Family helps family, right? So we cleared out the guest room, painted it a soft gray, swapped out the old curtains for fresh ones, and made space for her in our lives. I rearranged our dinner menus to include her favorite Italian dishes and shifted our weekend hikes so she could settle in. Our home wasn't huge, just a 3-bedroom suburban house, but we made it work even with my freelance marketing work and Ashley's school schedule demanding flexibility. It didn't take long for the cracks to show. Angela settled in quickly, too comfortably, I'd say. She contributed little to the household, maybe $20 here and there for groceries, claiming her part-time retail job barely covered her bills. I didn't push it, not wanting to seem heartless, but it stung when I saw her order takeout while we budgeted for Ashley's school supplies. What bothered me more was how she latched onto Brittany, Mark, and Diane's 13-year-old daughter while barely acknowledging Ashley. Brittany would visit for family dinners, and Angela would light up asking about her soccer games or her latest A+ project. "You're going to be a star, Brittany," she'd say, her smile wide and genuine. But when Ashley tried to share her latest short story, Angela would give a half-hearted, "That's nice, dear," and change the topic. I confided in my friend Cynthia over coffee one morning. Cynthia, 40, had known me since our college days and wasn't one to sugarcoat things. "Watch out for Angela," she warned, stirring her latte. "I heard from a mutual friend she got fired from her old bank job for some shady accounting. Nothing proven, but it raised eyebrows." I frowned, the information settling like a weight in my chest. Shady accounting. That didn't sound like someone scraping by. I thanked Cynthia and tucked the thought away, not ready to jump to conclusions but uneasy all the same. Back home, the pattern grew clearer. Angela would text Brittany about her school events, even sending her small gifts like a new phone case or concert tickets. Ashley, meanwhile, got nothing, not even a nod when she won a writing award at school. One evening, Ashley came to me clutching her notebook. "Mom, does Aunt Angela not like me?" she asked, her voice small. I hugged her tight, my heart aching. "Of course she does, honey," I lied, not wanting to hurt her. "She's just busy." But inside I was fuming. Why was Brittany getting all her attention? Was it because she was Mark's daughter, the real Wilson bloodline, while Ashley and I were somehow less? I tried bringing it up with David one night after Ashley went to bed. "Have you noticed Angela's closer with Brittany?" I asked, keeping my tone light. David sighed, rubbing his temples. "She's just bonding with her niece Nicole. You're reading too much into it." His dismissal stung, but I let it go, not wanting to start a fight. Still, the unease grew. Angela's favoritism wasn't just a quirk, it was deliberate, and it was starting to hurt Ashley. I couldn't ignore how she'd perk up when Brittany called, but barely glance at Ashley's stories. Once I overheard Angela on the phone with Mark gushing about Brittany's soccer tournament in Boston, while Ashley's writing contest the same weekend didn't even get a mention. It was small things at first, forgotten promises, overlooked achievements, but they added up. Ashley would show Angela her latest poem, Eyes Bright with Hope, only to get a distracted "looks good" before Angela scrolled through her phone. Yet when Brittany sent a selfie from a game, Angela would beam and show it to everyone at dinner. The contrast was glaring, and it wasn't just about Ashley. I started noticing Angela's side comments about my background, how my parents worked hard but not smart compared to the Wilsons' professional legacy. It felt like a jab at my place in the family, like I was an outsider who didn't belong. By the time we started planning the family party, I was on edge. Something about Angela's behavior, her secrecy, her favoritism told me she was building up to something bigger. That night, as I tucked Ashley into bed, I made a silent promise I'd keep my eyes on Angela, watch her every move, and figure out what she was hiding. If she was going to play favorites in my own home, I'd make sure she regretted it. The signs of Angela's favoritism started showing up almost immediately after she moved in, and they were impossible to ignore. It began with small things like when Brittany came over for a Sunday dinner. Angela would save the best cuts of roast for her, chatting endlessly about Brittany's soccer practice or how she was acing her math tests. "You're going places, Brittany," Angela would say, her eyes sparkling as she ruffled her niece's hair. But when Ashley mentioned her writing club meeting, Angela barely looked up from her plate, murmuring, "That's interesting," before turning back to Brittany. It happened again and again. Brittany got the praise, the extra slice of pie, the enthusiastic questions, while Ashley got overlooked. One weekend, Brittany texted Angela about a school play she was in, and Angela drove across town to attend even though it was raining hard. She came back gushing, "Brittany was amazing up there, such poise for 13. But when Ashley had her writing showcase just a week later right here in Burlington, Angela claimed she was too tired from work to go. "Maybe next time," she said, waving it off. Ashley's face fell, but she hid it well, retreating to her room with her notebook. I saw the hurt in her eyes, and it made my blood boil. How could Angela be so blatant? Brittany was the perfect niece, Mark and Diane's daughter, from the proper side of the family with their stable jobs and big house. Diane was always composed, a finance manager who hosted elegant dinners, while I was the freelance marketer juggling deadlines from home. Angela's comments started slipping in too. Diane really knows how to balance career and family, must be that upbringing. I couldn't stay silent anymore. That evening, after Angela went to her room, I sat David down in the kitchen. "Have you noticed how Angela treats the girls differently?" I asked, keeping my voice low. "She's all over Brittany, but she acts like Ashley's invisible." David ran a hand through his hair, looking tired from his day at the office. "Come on, Nicole. She's just connecting with her brother's kid. Brittany's outgoing and Ashley's more quiet. You're being too sensitive." His words stung. He was defending Angela, his sister, without seeing the pattern. I pressed, "It's not just that. She skipped Ashley's showcase but drove through rain for Brittany's play. And those comments about Diane being proper, what's that about?" David sighed. "Angela's going through a rough time with the divorce. Give her a break. She'll warm up." I let it drop, not wanting to argue, but the knot in my stomach tightened. Ashley tried so hard to connect with her aunt. One afternoon, she brought Angela a handwritten story she'd written, holding it out hopefully. "Aunt Angela, I wrote this about a family adventure. Want to read it?" Angela glanced at it briefly. "Looks cute, Ashley. Maybe later I'm catching up on emails." Ashley's shoulders slumped as she walked away, but she forced a smile when she saw me watching. "It's okay, Mom," she whispered, but I knew it wasn't. Meanwhile, when Brittany sent a photo of her soccer trophy, Angela printed it out and stuck it on the fridge, beaming. "Look at this winner," she'd say to anyone who entered the kitchen. The comparisons extended to me, too. During dinner one night, Angela casually mentioned Diane's family vacations in Europe every summer, such cultural exposure for Brittany. It's nice when parents can provide that. The implication hung there that David and I weren't measuring up with our local hikes and budget trips to Lake Champlain. My working-class roots felt like a Target dad fixing cars' mom nursing shifts while the Wilsons had generations of professionals. Angela never said it outright, but her tone made it clear I was the outsider who married in not proper family like Diane. It reached a point where Ashley stopped sharing her writing with Angela altogether, keeping her notebooks hidden. "She doesn't care, Mom," she confided one night, her voice trembling. I pulled her close. "That's not true, sweetie, but if it feels that way, we'll figure it out." Her words fueled my resolve. David might dismiss it, but I couldn't. Angela's favoritism wasn't random. It was tearing at Ashley's confidence, and those sly digs at my background were no coincidence. That's when I decided I needed more than suspicions. Cynthia's warning about Angela's past had lingered, and if there was something shady, I had to dig deeper. I texted Cynthia the next morning, "Coffee soon. Need to talk about Angela." Her reply came quick. "Absolutely. I've got more to share." As I hit send, a wave of determination washed over me. This was just the beginning of uncovering what Angela was really up to. A few days after texting Cynthia, we met at our favorite coffee shop in downtown Burlington, the one with the cozy booths overlooking Church Street. Cynthia arrived first, her laptop bag slung over her shoulder, looking serious as she sipped her black coffee. "Okay, Nicole, spill what's going on with Angela," she asked as I slid into the seat across from her. I leaned in, keeping my voice low. "It's worse than I thought. The favoritism with Brittany is obvious, and now Ashley's pulling away. But you mentioned something about her past. Tell me everything." Cynthia nodded, glancing around before pulling out her phone. "Remember that mutual friend from her old bank job? Turns out Angela was let go quietly last year. There were rumors of her fudging expense reports, claiming reimbursements for fake trips, pocketing the cash. Nothing criminal enough for charges, but it got her fired. And get this, she walked away with a severance package, so she's not as broke as she claims. She's got savings stashed somewhere." I felt a chill run down my spine. Fudging reports that explained why she could afford those little gifts for Brittany while crying poor to us. "Why hasn't anyone called her out?" I asked. Cynthia shrugged. "Fear of lawsuits, I guess. But if you dig, there are emails our friend forwarded me, a couple. Nothing damning, but enough to show a pattern." She slid her phone over, and I scrolled through the messages, Angela boasting about creative accounting and casual chats. My mind raced. This wasn't just favoritism. It was deception right under our roof. "Thanks, Cynthia. This changes everything," I said, forwarding the emails to myself. She squeezed my hand. "Be careful. Angela's sneaky, don't confront without a plan." Back home that afternoon, I couldn't shake it. While Angela was out running errands, I heard her voice from the porch talking on the phone. I paused in the kitchen, ear pressed to the door. "Yeah, Nicole's background is so different," she was saying, her tone dripping with disdain. "Working class roots, and that adopted kid Ashley, not blood. You know Brittany's the real deal, proper Wilson stock. It's why I focus on her." My heart pounded. The words, "not blood," echoed like a slap. She was dismissing Ashley, dismissing me as if we weren't worthy. I stepped back, furious but silent. How dare she in my own house while living off our hospitality? Later that evening, Ashley bounced into the living room, excited about the upcoming family party. "Mom, for the wish list, I'd love some new books, the fantasy series we saw at the bookstore," she said, her eyes lighting up. She hesitated, then added, "And my laptop's so slow for writing stories. Even a basic upgrade would be amazing. I hugged her. We'll see what we can do, sweetie. But as she skipped off, I glanced at Angela, who was scrolling her phone and hadn't even looked up. Minutes later, when David mentioned Brittany's birthday coming up, Angela perked up. What does she want? That new gadget, maybe? Her enthusiasm was unmistakable, and I saw Ashley's smile fade before she masked it. The next day, while Angela was at her job, a package arrived addressed to her from an electronics store. I didn't open it, but the shape screamed expensive tech. Broke my foot. She was splurging probably on something for Brittany while ignoring Ashley's needs. My suspicions boiled over. That night after Ashley went to bed, I pulled out my phone and dialed Kenneth, our family lawyer friend. Kenneth, it's Nicole. I need advice on setting boundaries with a live-in relative, possibly evicting if things escalate. His voice was calm. Sure, let's talk details. What's going on? I briefed him on the favoritism and the emails from Cynthia. Sounds like grounds for concern, he said. Gather more evidence and we can discuss legal steps. Hanging up, I felt a surge of power. This was my family, and Angela's games were about to end. But first, the party would be the perfect trap to expose her. The family party idea came up a week after my call with Kenneth, almost like Angela was testing the waters. She suggested it casually over breakfast, buttering her toast. We should have a get-together at Waterfront Park, nothing fancy, just family catching up. It's been too long since we've all been together. David nodded enthusiastically. Great idea, sis. Nicole, what do you think? I forced a smile, seeing an opportunity. Sounds good. I'll handle the planning. Inside, I knew this could be the perfect setup to catch her in the act. If she showed her favoritism publicly, I'd have witnesses for my plan. Waterfront Park in Burlington was ideal, open green spaces by Lake Champlain picnic tables, and enough room for games without it feeling crowded. It wasn't a birthday bash, just a casual gathering to strengthen bonds, as Angela put it. I dove into preparations right away, booking the spot for a Saturday afternoon. I ordered platters from a local deli, sandwiches, salads, and fruit trays to keep it simple and budget-friendly. Ashley got excited about the decorations, helping me pick out blue and green streamers and balloons from the dollar store. This will be fun, Mom, she said, taping up a banner in her room to practice. Maybe Aunt Angela will like my new story idea. I hugged her. I'm sure she will, sweetie. But I doubted it. Her enthusiasm fueled my resolve to protect her, while Ashley focused on the fun stuff. I met with Kenneth at his office downtown. He was sharp in his mid-40s with a no-nonsense attitude from years handling family disputes. So, Nicole, you mentioned boundaries with your sister-in-law, he said, leaning back in his chair. I laid it out, the favoritism, the overheard call dismissing us as not blood, and Cynthia's emails about Angela's shady past at the bank. She's living rent-free, claiming poverty, but those emails show she fudged reports and has hidden savings. Kenneth reviewed the forwards on my phone. This could be leverage if you need to evict her. Vermont law requires notice for guests-turned-tenants, but if there's fraud involved, it strengthens your case. Gather more proof, receipt statements. And if she acts out at this party, document it. I nodded. That's the plan. If she pulls something, I'll expose her. He advised on next steps, drafting a formal notice if needed, and contacting her former employer or HR agencies to verify the rumors without crossing lines. Stay legal, focus on facts, not emotions. Leaving his office, I felt armed. Back home, I ramped up my preparations for the trap. I printed Cynthia's emails and tucked them in a folder ready to pull out if Angela showed her true colors. Cynthia texted more details. Her old boss at the bank is open to chatting. Here's his contact. And check recruitment sites. She's applied for jobs without mentioning the firing. I saved the info, planning to reach out post-party if needed. The expose part was key. If she favored Brittany publicly, I'd post the emails on our family group chat or social media tagging mutual friends to show her hypocrisy. For HR agencies, I'd report her undeclared income anonymously, letting them flag her resumes. Kenneth had cleared it as ethical, not illegal. It wasn't vengeance for vengeance's sake. It was justice to protect Ashley from more hurt. Ashley stayed oblivious to the tension chattering about inviting her friends. "Can we have games, Mom, like relay races?" I agreed, adding lawn games to the list. David helped with the music playlist, but Angela was oddly secretive, taking calls outside and dodging questions about what she'd bring. "Just a surprise," she'd say with a wink. Her surprise likely involved Brittany, maybe another gift to show off. As the days ticked down, my vigilance paid off. One afternoon, while Angela was at work, another package arrived from the same electronics store as before. I signed for it, noting the weight, definitely something pricey. When Angela got home, she snatched it quickly, muttering, "Personal stuff." But I caught a glimpse of the label, "Expedited shipping, high value." My pulse raced. She was hiding purchases, probably for Brittany, while ignoring Ashley's wish list. That sealed it. The party was tomorrow, and I was ready. If she pulled her favoritism stunt, I'd spring the trap, starting with those emails from Cynthia. The Saturday of the family party dawned bright and crisp, a perfect Vermont afternoon at Waterfront Park. The lake sparkled under the September sun, and the picnic tables were decked out with the blue and green streamers Ashley had helped pick. I'd set up everything: deli trays with sandwiches and salads, a cooler of sodas, and lawn games like cornhole for the kids. About 30 people showed up: Ashley's school friends, some neighbors, and a few cousins from David's side. Ashley was in her element, laughing as she organized a relay race with her classmates, her teal skirt twirling as she ran. David handled the music, queuing up a playlist of pop hits that kept the vibe lively. Angela arrived late, carrying a sleek black tote bag, her smile too wide as she greeted everyone. "What a great turnout," she said, but her eyes lingered on Brittany, who strolled in wearing designer sneakers, phone already out for selfies. The party hummed along smoothly for the first couple of hours. Kids darted between games, adults chatted over drinks, and I caught David's eye across the park, sharing a quick smile. Despite my suspicions, I hoped maybe Angela would behave. But as the afternoon wore on, she stuck close to Brittany, adjusting her jacket, praising her every move. "Look at you, Brittany, owning that relay race," she called out, clapping loudly. Ashley, who just won a round, got a half-hearted nod before Angela turned away. I clenched my jaw, keeping my folder of Cynthia's emails tucked in my bag nearby. Around 4 p.m., Angela clapped her hands, drawing everyone's attention. "Time for a special surprise," she announced, pulling out 3 glossy boxes from her tote. My stomach sank. I recognized the logo from the electronics store package. She handed one to David with a flourish. "For my big brother, always working so hard." He looked surprised but pleased, muttering a quick, "Thanks, sis." Then she turned to Brittany, beaming, "And for my favorite niece, because you deserve the best." Brittany squealed, tearing into the wrapping to reveal an iPhone 16 Pro Max, the top-tier model worth $2,500. The crowd murmured, impressed by the extravagance. Angela wasn't done. "Mark and Diane already have theirs," she added, nodding toward their absence, "so they're set." All eyes turned to me, expecting a 4th box. Ashley, standing nearby, looked hopeful, clutching her old cracked laptop. But Angela just smiled, her gaze sliding past me like I wasn't there. I stepped forward, voice steady. "What about me, Angela? No gift for your sister-in-law." The park went quiet, the tension thick. Angela's smile tightened and she shrugged. "You're not real family. Nicole just married in." The words landed like a punch, sharp and deliberate. Ashley gasped, her eyes welling up, and she bolted toward the edge of the park, dropping her laptop on the grass. The crowd froze, some whispering, others staring in shock. I followed Ashley, finding her near the lake, tears streaming down her face. "Mom, why does she hate us?" she sobbed, curling into my arms. "You and me were not enough for her." I held her tight, my heart breaking. "Sweetie, you're more than enough. She's the one who's wrong." I wiped her tears, helping her breathe through the hurt. "We're going back out there and I'll handle this." "Okay," she nodded, gripping my hand. Back at the picnic area, I faced Angela, who was chatting with Brittany as if nothing happened. I pulled out my phone, opening the email from Cynthia. "Angela," I said loudly, drawing eyes. "You claim you're broke, but you can afford iPhones worth thousands. Care to explain these emails about your creative accounting at the bank?" Her face paled, but she scoffed. "You're making a scene, Nicole. Those are private." I held my ground. "Private like telling everyone I'm not family or ignoring Ashley because she's adopted?" David stepped forward, frowning. "What emails, Nicole?" I showed him the screen, Angela's boasts about fudging reports. His jaw tightened, the first crack in his defense of her. "Angela, is this true?" he asked, voice low. The crowd murmured, some pulling out phones to record. Angela's confidence wavered, but she doubled down. "You're blowing this out of proportion. Brittany's my niece, my real family." That was it, the line she couldn't uncross. I locked eyes with her, my voice cold. "You'll regret this, Angela." I turned to David. "We're talking tonight. This ends now." Ashley clung to my side, and I knew the party was over. As we packed up, the emails burned in my mind, and my plan to expose her was ready to ignite. She'd never see it coming. The ride home from Waterfront Park was tense, the air thick with unspoken words. Ashley sat in the back seat, wiping her eyes, while David gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white. Angela trailed in her own car, acting like the party had been a success, but I knew the facade was cracking. As soon as we pulled into the driveway, I turned to David. "We need to talk now." He nodded, glancing at Angela as she parked behind us. "Yeah, we do." Ashley headed straight to her room, slamming the door, her sobs muffled through the walls. I checked on her quickly. "I'm okay, Mom," she whispered, but her red eyes told a different story. Why does Aunt Angela say things like that?" I kissed her forehead. "We'll fix this, sweetie. Promise." Downstairs, David confronted Angela in the living room, his voice rising for the first time. What the hell was that at the park? Handing out expensive phones to everyone but Nicole, then calling her not real family. And those emails Nicole showed me, fudging reports at your old job. Angela crossed her arms, her face hardening. "Oh, please. The gifts were my choice. I can spend my money how I want. And those emails are taken out of context. Nicole's always been sensitive about her background. She's not a Wilson by blood, just married in. Ashley's adopted, so it's different." David's face flushed. "Different? That's my wife and daughter you're talking about. You've been living here rent-free, and this is how you repay us." I stepped in, my phone ready with Cynthia's emails. "It's not just the party, Angela. You favored Brittany for months, gifts, attention, while ignoring Ashley. And now this, you're not broke. You've been hiding savings from fraud." She laughed bitterly. "Fraud. That's a stretch. I earned that severance fair and square." But her eyes darted, betraying her. I smiled calmly, just like at the park. "You have 24 hours to pack and leave. The free ride ends here." Her jaw dropped. "You can't kick me out, David." He shook his head. "Nicole's right. This has gone too far." That night, while Angela stormed to her room, I executed the first part of my plan. I logged into our family Facebook group and posted a carefully worded update. After today's events, it's time to address some truths about Angela. She's claimed financial hardship while living with us, but evidence shows otherwise, including emails from her former job about questionable accounting practices. I attached screenshots of the emails Cynthia had provided, redacting sensitive details, but highlighting the creative reimbursements boasts. I tagged mutual family friends, and marked ensuring it spread. Comments flooded in shock from cousins' questions from neighbors who'd been at the party. One aunt wrote, "This explains a lot. Angela always seemed off." By morning, the post had over 50 shares, and Angela's phone buzzed nonstop. She confronted me in the kitchen at dawn, face furious. "You posted that you're ruining my reputation." I poured my coffee unfazed. "You ruined the party with your insult. Now pack 24 hours. She slammed her door, but I wasn't done. I emailed Angela's former boss at the bank using the contact Cynthia gave. "As a concerned family member, I'm sharing these emails about past practices at your firm. Thought you'd want to know if she's applying elsewhere." The reply came quick. "Thanks for the heads up, we'll flag her file." Next, I anonymously tipped 2 major HR recruitment agencies in Vermont about her undeclared income and firing linking to public job boards where she'd applied without disclosure. Kenneth had vetted it, no laws broken, just shining light on facts. Angela tried fighting back, posting her own rant on social media. "My sister-in-law is spreading lies to kick me out, jealous of real family bonds." But Kenneth jumped in, messaging me, "Saw her post. I can send a cease and desist if it escalates. Defamation cuts both ways." I forwarded it to her, and she went silent, deleting the post within hours. David stood by me, helping her box things up. "I should have seen this sooner," he admitted as we loaded her car. "The favoritism, the lies, it's toxic." Angela left that evening glaring as she drove off to a motel. Mark called later. "We're not taking her in too much drama." She tried texting David for sympathy, but he blocked her, following my lead. We cut all ties, no calls, no visits, no second chances. To start fresh, we listed the house and moved to a quieter suburb outside Burlington, a cozy rental with more space for Ashley's writing desk. The change lifted a weight. Ashley smiled more, sharing her stories without fear. David and I grew closer, vowing to prioritize our core family. Looking back, this taught me that family isn't blood, it's love and respect. Angela's prejudice against my background and Ashley's adoption showed her true colors, and ignoring it would have damaged us more. Protect yourself and your kids from toxic people, even relatives. Set boundaries early or they'll erode your happiness. If it feels wrong, act, don't wait for the explosion. Ashley's stronger now, knowing she's valued exactly as she is. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've dealt with family favoritism or betrayal, share in the comments. I'd love to hear. Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life dramas and hit that like button if this resonated. As I watched our new home come together, I knew we'd emerged stronger, ready for whatever came next without Angela's shadow.